And good morning, Coasties. It's awesome to have some time with you again this Sunday morning. Welcome to Rhema CC's Sunday morning. I am Lindy, and thankfully you and I get to hang out together for a bit. I hope you're having a good one so far. I hope things aren't too stressful, that things are just rolling about and hopefully quite easily. Guys, this morning we just heard See a Victory by Elevation Worship, and I am so thankful for the fact that we can turn to God for those moments in life that are just huge hurdles. The things that are little, the things that are big, all of it, we can turn to Him and we can leave it with Him. And seeing that victory sometimes in faith, it takes a bit of a stand on our part. It takes some determination and some belief, even when different situations pop up that we just kind of might be tossed, in our faith a little bit. We might be questioning whether or not we've lost the plot. Maybe we've kind of, are we believing the unbelievable, and, do we risk looking a little bit crazy in all that? So there are times in our life where seeing a victory, it really does take a lot of determination, a lot of focus, and a lot of belief that God is in control. But He is, and He has shown us time and time again. We've got Easter coming up, guys. It's not that far off. And if we look at the whole story of Jesus, the fact that He went to the cross, He died, He rose 3 days later, and He showed us that He is victorious in all things. Not even death can hold Him down. And that's the kind of God that we're dealing with when we know we've got we've got Him beside us. We've got that same authority. We've got that same ability to just stand firm and just know that He will see the victories in our everyday life. And He's the author and of everything, I should say. But yeah, there's some real truth to that, and it's awesome. Now, I apologise if I'm a bit foggy today in the head. I'm kind of getting myself together. I'm, that early morning thing, it's not quite there yet. Plus, I think sometimes life throws us these doozies every so often that leave us kind of going, all right, where are we at and what direction are we taking? And it's been a bit of one of those weeks for me, I guess. It's been, every day has been different. It's been pretty full on. So I hope that by the end of this morning, I'm a bit more together and that we can actually sort of focus in on what God is sort of throwing at me this morning and, bringing to you guys. And we can stand firm in the fact that God is, He ordains everything. He knows every detail of our being. He knows every day of our lives. He knows that He's ordained it. He's already overseen it. He's already written the book, if you like. And we're just in the process of just revealing page by page by page what He has planned for us. I don't know about you guys, but I find some real... what's the word I'm looking for? It's a certainty. It's a peace. It's the knowledge that I can just let go. I guess that whole saying of let go and let God starts to make sense when I sort of start to experience or allow myself to experience the truth that God really is in control. And we need that reminder constantly. Now, I've been a Christian for, well, let's just say for this time, because I would say that I probably came back to God when I was about 22. So it's well and truly over 20 years now. And I look at the life that I had before and I think, how could I have thought that I had it all together without Him? And I didn't, obviously. I don't still. I don't have it all together, but I know that I can't do it without Him. And my prayer for you this morning, guys, is that as we work on that that concept, the understanding that we can do more with God by our side, and we don't have to have control of it on our own. Maybe you're someone who has never had anything to do with Christianity. Let me assure you that my experience, I sit here today and I can tell you straight up, I cannot do life without God, because He has just shown me so much time and time and time again. And that's an understatement, that my ways are not His ways. And if I try and do it my way, there's likely to be more issues. And if I let go and just let Him do what He needs to do, it can be a test of character. It can be a test of faith. It can be a test of so many different things. But His ways certainly surpass what I could do. Which leads us to what we're talking about this morning. We're going to be talking about the Prodigal Son. Now, the Prodigal Son, I will read to you shortly, but it gives us a glimpse of how we all can sort of just go our own way from time to time. And often quite dramatically. Often we can just be deterred and we can just get caught off guard, and we can find ourselves down a path that we just didn't see happening. And to get back home, well, that's a bit tricky. We're going to learn something from the prodigal son. And if I slip up and say the prodigal son, prodigal daughter today quite a few times, and that is because I refer to my kids every time they walk in the door, I say, oh, it's the prodigal daughter. So if I do, yes, I am actually meaning the Bible as in scriptural, the whole thing of the prodigal son, but we'll get into that shortly. So that's where we're going. Let's do it together. Let's explore what God has to say about coming home by choice. All right, I'll see you soon. And welcome back, hosties. Welcome to another Sunday morning. I am here. It is Sunday, and I am hoping to spend some time with you guys. You've joined us here at Rhema CC, and we love doing life with you. We were just listening to God Forever by Aisha Woods. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Got some great Christian content happening at the moment, isn't there? There's some good stuff out there, I have to say. Anyway, a few things happening here too, actually, guys. If you haven't got your tickets for The Chosen, please jump on it. We'd love to have you. I have to say that I am sort of trying to rearrange myself. Obviously, we've got a bit of distance to the travelling, so it's a bit trickier for me. I'm trying to work out how to make it happen for myself because it does look really good. And I have to say, I've loved all the different, movie premieres we've had, or the viewings we've had through Rhema previously with the. Yeah, it's just a good way to connect. It's a good way to sort of put faces to names sometimes, and faces to go, okay, cool. We're in the same place. We had the same appreciation for Christian content. So if you can make it, obviously, we would love to have you. Tickets obviously are on. You can kind of access that through our online website. As I said this morning, I am not overly together yet, so my brain is a little bit foggy, but if I make no sense, hopefully you can put the dots together. It's been an interesting week. Anyway, guys, we are talking about the prodigal daughter. Well, I just said previously we're going to talk about the prodigal son, but I'm going to slip up and say the prodigal daughter. I don't know how many times, and that truthfully is just because when my kids come home, I just find myself always just saying, the prodigal daughter. We haven't got any sons that have left home yet. So if I slip up again, you know what the reason is. You know what is going on there. So what is the prodigal son? What am I talking about? Well, we look at scripture and it gives us this story. I will read it to you. It's actually a parable, but even then, guys, I'll explain a little bit further. A parable is almost like, gets you an understanding of a situation by looking at, it's almost like a story type thing. It's kind of giving you a bit of an idea of how to grasp a concept. And so that's what a parable is. So if we look at the parable of the prodigal son, now this is found in Luke 15:11-32. I'll read this to you just so you can get a feel for where we're going with things today. The parable of the prodigal son. And he said, there was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me. And he divided his property between them. Not many days later, the youngest son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country. And there he squandered his property in reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his field to feed pigs. And when he was longing to be fed with the pods, the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. But then he came to himself and he said, how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread? But I perish here with hunger. I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead, and it is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now his oldest son was in the field, And as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him is what it says. Sorry, I apologise for that. I don't know what untreated is. But he answered his father, look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him. And he said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. I don't know which part of that story kind of resonates with you this morning. I can honestly say there's a few things there that I can personally resonate. I've certainly been the prodigal daughter, if you look at that. Not the prodigal son, as we have seen in this parable, but I've been there. I've been that sort of person, or that, needing to come home, getting things sorted out and going home, that sense of remorse and, oh my goodness, I don't deserve anything. I've also been the guilt, the brother that's looking from the side going, that's not fair. Why are you getting everything? And I've tried to do everything right. And yet look at you, you're raking it in, and I'm over here. I've been slaving away. I've been committed. I've been doing the things that I need to do. And yet, so we've all had experiences from those perspectives. I'm sure there's been elements of both for probably many of us at least. And we also may have had the experience of being the parent whose child or children or people want to come back and say, I want to start again. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. And we have a challenge on us as people to work out how to navigate that. Certainly we've got a lot to learn by looking at this parable, and we're going to dig deeper this morning. So stick with us, and I'll speak to you before too long. All right, see you soon. And that was Keep Your Head Up by Fireflight. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Sunday morning. It is indeed Sunday morning, not Monday, so you've got another day to just kind of hang about and enjoy that rest if you are able to get it. Maybe you're actually someone who's working today, so maybe that rest is not actually something you're going to get. But hopefully and prayerfully you will get that at some point throughout the week, and you can kind of call time out if it has, if today is not the day for that. Hopefully you get a chance to take that on board and actually just enjoy life. Just breathe. Enjoy the fact that there's breath in your lungs and you're still ticking, that little mind of yours is still functioning well. Hopefully for your sake it's functioning well anyway. Anyway, guys, we are talking about the Prodigal Son today. And I read it before, and it is quite a long passage, so I won't read it again. But generally, it's a parable, so it's kind of giving us a story to understand how Jesus or how God views the relationship between us. When we're in the messy state, when we think we've got it all under control and we can control everything ourselves, and no, we don't need your help, thanks God. And then we realise actually we've got down a path where suddenly we go, actually we do need your help. And that relationship between our state of mind when we are not in a good place and we realise, actually need to come home. And that sense, there's a sense of humbleness in that, because when we come home we realise, okay, we don't deserve to be treated like, we belong to God or to our, if it's literally our family, we understand that we don't, we lose that sort of sense of, I really have earned this. And so there is that relationship where God he emphasises that when we come home, he's actually not going to look down on us in a frowned upon way and say, I can't believe you've done this and you've done that, and oh my goodness, why did you do this? It's just, my goodness, you're home. You are home, and let's just enjoy this. Let's celebrate that we are together. I didn't know where you were going to be. I thought that, you were just, as it says in the verses, you were dead and now you're alive and you're home. And so that is something that we should be celebrating when we have, whether it's our own children or others, like other children, if it's even if it's not children, if it's, older people who suddenly realise, I've got to do things a better way. We should be celebrating as a reflection of God's love. We should be celebrating with them. And we also need to examine that part of our heart that says, oh, look at you, why do you get this? Because you've been doing such and such and such. Over here, I've been doing it all together. I'm fine. I've been doing a great job. When really, we're the same. We are no different. There are times when we can be that lost, we can be like that lost prodigal son who is just pretty messed up with the decisions that they're making. He, she, us, whatever. And we can be challenged to be compassionate because of that. As I said before, I know that there's times in my own life where I've had to come back home. I've had to realise that there are moments where I've got to stand before God and sort myself out. I've been quite perfect. I've been pretty honest with you guys from the beginning. I have not lived a perfect life. I've made some stupid choices along the way. And I have learnt the value of coming home and the value of standing before God and go, this is me. This is it. I've messed up. Can't do it any other way without you. I need you. And I can assure you guys, if you haven't come to that place yet, it is worth it. It is worth recognising, to acknowledge, to really examine why we do the things we do and how we can get so pulled away from God without realising. It takes work, it really does. But it's so worth it to come home and have that clean slate, to be celebrated, to be loved, to be valued. And my challenge for you this morning, if you don't know that, I want to encourage you, spend some time with God. He's waiting for you. He's got that beautiful big robe ready for you. He's ready to place it on you. He's ready to feed you the best of the best and to give you the insights into your own journey so far and to show you how things have played out. But more than that, He's able to forgive and to love and to accept and to just take you as you are. And if that means making mistakes along the way, so be it. He loves you and He's obviously after that heart of yours that says, I messed up again. But He knows we're human. He knows that we're going to mess up. He just wants us home. So my encouragement this morning, guys, even if you are a Christian and you believe you have been a Christian for a long time, if there are still elements of your character or things that you think, I have drifted so far away from the God that I know does love me and I do love Him, I need to get things right. Here is my encouragement again to you guys. Get it sorted out today. Lay it before Him today. This can happen today. It needs to happen today. Get yourself right with Him because, my goodness, He's a good God. And His ways are better. You are to be, you will be embraced. Coming home, you will be embraced just as we see in this beautiful story. This story of the prodigal son. All right, I'm going to take a break and I'll see you guys soon. And that was Your Love by Verses. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday morning. And I hope you are having a delightful one. Hope you're having a beautiful cheerio. That's right context, I guess. I don't know. I know people say cheerio when they're leaving, but I say it as a greeting as well. But a cheery sort of morning is kind of where I'm leaning towards. I am just waffling. I do apologise. I'm just in my own little zone over here, trying to get my head around what we've been talking this morning. And we've been talking about the prodigal son. Actually, we've been talking about. I've been quite honest. I've said to you guys, I have used the phrase the prodigal daughter I don't know how many times when my kids have returned home. They leave and they come home. It doesn't mean that they have been, completely living out the story of the prodigal son, but I think it's one of those loose terms that we just sort of go, oh, you're back. This is amazing. Let's just jump on board. I love having time with you. But having said that, we got a phone call during the week to say that one of our kids was coming back home to stay. And I don't know how long for, but it's been one of those things that's been lingering for a while. I think it's been one of those things where, they're just working it all out. We're working it all out. How do we make it work? How do we make sure we've got, the space and all that sort of stuff? But I think it was just pretty much this needs to happen kind of thing. And I've had a bit of a foggy week since because I've been trying to process all the details. I will be honest and say that I was a little bit worried about my own mental health in all of it, not in terms of depression, but my anxiety, because it just does that. It just kind of flares up when these things change. But I have felt God's presence. It's been really weird. It's been like, even though it's been hard to work out how do we make this work, it's been reassuring that God's in it. Now, why do I say I am anxious about the fact that my daughter is coming home, or has made a decision to come home? I guess I'm anxious because there have been so many ups and downs, and it's been, I don't know if they're coming, if they're going, if they're coming, if they're going. I don't know what to expect, and I don't, for myself, it's probably a selfish thing, but I don't want to kind of prepare and get everything ready until I know that they've walked through the door to say, I'm here, I'm staying. And that got me thinking. I was thinking about the prodigal son and, the response of the father. Just this need to celebrate. Now, I guess for myself, I look at that and I think it is absolutely a time to celebrate. When your kids come home, it's one of those things you just want to embrace them and say, yes, we are back. We're a unit again. We're a family. Not that ever changes when your kids leave, but the dynamics change. Things get different, and you realise that your boundaries are different. You've got to respect their boundaries a lot more. So it's re-navigating all that stuff and trying to work out, okay, once you move back in, once you come back home, what does that look like in terms of respecting your boundaries? How do we make this work? So it's all that, up and down sort of stuff. But I look at the father in this story, and he just embraces. And he embraces because he's home. Now, when I look at the situation with my kids, I think any one of them can come, any one of them can go. That door is always open. We've always said that. My husband and I are always like, you go, if you ever need to come home, you can. That door does not ever get closed. It's just, we are home. And there's certainly been some times where we've had to do that. Post-surgery with my daughter, it was a case of, you got to come home because you need someone to physically care for you for a little bit. So she did come home after that, and then moved back out again. Anyway, that's just an example of what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is there can be a practical aspect of us receiving our kids home. But what we yearn for the most is their spiritual life to come home. And this is my prayer for those who are younger out there. This is my prayer for, you might be a youth, you might be a young adult. When I say youth, I mean, you could be 12 to, I don't know, what do they categorise now? 24-ish, I think, is kind of what they sort of emphasise. But I mean a younger person. I guess my encouragement to you guys, if you happen to be listening, if you're in that age range, I want to say that your spiritual life is so important. And I want to say that I know that there are temptations to get caught up in all sorts of things in this world. I think if I look back, one of the things that I really worked hard on with my kids when they were younger is preparing them for a world that does entice. It gives options for everything. And I think one of the things that I have as a parent, and your parents, if you are listening and in that age range, I would say your parents have battled with the same thing. It's a case of you want to protect your kids, but you also know you can't protect your kids because there's a big world out there that exposes them to you guys as well, all sorts of things you can't fully protect. And that's hard. It's a really hard thing as a parent. And if you find yourself in a position where you are making choices or living a life that doesn't really honour what your parents have taught you, and there's a party that's sort of stirring going, I know this doesn't bring joy to my family. I know that it's not something that they are going to be proud of, or they want better for me. I want to just say to you, it's never too late to turn around. We can only pray for you guys as parents, and even as I sit here at the moment, I mean, I don't necessarily know any of you guys, but I am praying for you. I'm praying for your wisdom, for your strength to say no to situations or circumstances that aren't good, that aren't going to be of your best interest. And we look at the prodigal son and we look at what he did and the things that he got caught up in. He just lost all understanding of moral, his whole moral compass just shifted. He just didn't care. He was just like, whatever, I'm going to go party. And that tends to happen. It's one of those, it's a bit of a life stage thing. I get that. I've been there myself, done some dumb stuff. Some of the stuff that I had to tell my parents about recently. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But my point is, I get it. I know that life stage, if we look at the life stage, we are likely to see people doing things that kind of make us feel like we're independent. But there does come a point sometimes when we realize, I've got to go home. I've got to get my life sorted out with God. And often that comes with heartache. Often that comes with being backed into a corner. Often it comes with those being, those things being stripped from us, the things that we actually value. It might be a driver's license. It might be legal proceedings. It might be a medical situation. It might be something that we look at and go, this is the end of the world. And God goes, no, I'm using it. I'm bringing you home. I'm bringing you back to me. I'm bringing you back to what is important. And for you parents out there, if you're listening this morning, this is my encouragement to you. Get on your knees and pray for those kids. I don't mean literally. I just mean you make sure your kids are your priority in prayer. I will honestly say that it's been a hard few weeks because we've had a few different things. We've got 2 different kids with 2 different, bigger sort of things happening from a medical perspective. And you feel powerless. You feel like you can't do anything, but you can pray. And whether they see it or not, prayer goes a long way. I spoke to one of my other kids who was having a bit of a meltdown because she was so upset about the things that were happening with 2 of my other kids. And I said, look, what you have to know is that Dad and I have been praying specifically about those 2 intentionally. They've been our biggest concern in terms of their spiritual walk. So while we're sitting here going, I can't believe these things are getting so hard for them, we know that God uses those plans. We know it's not, He wants to bring them home. And so for us to get a phone call to say, all right, I'm ready, I'm coming home, that's the start. I don't know what will happen from there, but I know that God is in it. And I want to say to you guys, you might be in a similar situation. You might be feeling that whether you are someone who wants to come home, do it today. Whether that means literally going back to your parents and saying, I need a place to hang out. I need to get myself together. Or it means you get back to your faith, the faith that you've been taught. You might have been exposed to it at some point and you've lost your way. It's not too late. It is not too late. You can do it right now. You can do it as you are listening this morning. You can just spend some time in prayer. I'm happy to lead you in that. All you have to do is say, God, I'm messed up. Things are getting awful. They're getting ugly. I need to go home. I need to come home to you. And He will show you. He will show you how to do that. And it takes acknowledgement of where you're at. So that's my prayer for you this morning, guys, is that if you are in a situation like that, you find the courage to do it. Go home. Go home in terms of your spiritual life. If you need to go home practically, go home physically. If you need to go home and just say, Mum and Dad, hey, I'm home. I need to hang out with you for a bit. I've got to get myself sorted out. Do it. Just do it. Find your safe place. If Mum and Dad aren't the safe place, then make sure you find someone who is. Contact a church pastor. Contact, youth leaders. Whoever you can contact to say, I've got to get things right. I need someone to pray with me. I need someone to physically help me to have a place to stay. It doesn't matter, you've got different situations going on. But yeah, be brave. Be brave and step out and go home, whatever home looks like. And parents, keep praying. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you guys soon. And welcome back, Central Coast listeners. It is awesome to have you guys here at Rhema CC. And it is awesome that it is Sunday morning. Is it not? It is awesome that it is Sunday morning, because that means for most of you, or some of you, I shouldn't say most of you, for most of you, I'll stick with most, but I really think it is more some, most. Who knows? Anyway, for a lot of us, today is likely to be a bit more of a cruisy day. So make sure you enjoy it. Get out for a walk, take in those big deep breath, fresh air. Enjoy the birds twerping. Is that right? Is that even a word? You know what I'm trying to say. I'm really not together today, guys. It's really not happening. My brain's not there. It is there, but it's in a totally different direction. Do you ever feel like that? You kind of, your brain is just sort of ticking over. It's got all those, I explain it. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. For me, it's like the tabs when you've got all your tabs open on a screen. You're just like, okay, hang on, I'll come back to that in a minute. All right, now I've got to go back to this one. All right, now hang on a sec, I've got to look at this. Life is crazy like that. There's always something to be opening and something to be closing for just a moment to come back to. And I feel like in that, our brain gets kind of clogged up. I feel like our mind just sort of just goes, hang on, hold up. There's too much going on. Just slow down. Well, that is me this morning. I'm very foggy in the head. And it's a bit annoying. It's really quite annoying when you're trying to speak and you're trying to put the concepts of what you've been exploring yourself to words. But I will give it a go. I'll keep chipping away at it. This morning we've been talking about the prodigal son. Now, what is the prodigal son? It is a parable. It is a parable in the Bible. In Luke, you can find it. So if you are familiar with the Bible or you are not, well, that's a good way to start. Luke is one of the gospel, it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're the four sort of, I've explained this here before, but if you don't listen normally on a Sunday morning, they are the four sort of accounts of Jesus. And parables are one of the ways that we see in Luke, we'll see it all throughout actually, but a parable is almost an explanation of a story or a concept through a sort of story setup, if you like. It's looking at how do you understand things from a sort of general level. And the prodigal son is an exploration of those moments where in life we get caught up, in our own agendas, we get caught up in how we want to do things our own way. We lose sight of what's important. We leave our family behind, and we leave what's important behind, and we set off to do our own thing. Now, there is also that aspect from the father's perspective of embracing that son, or if you like, daughter, that comes home and knows, I know you messed up. I know you've wasted a lot of money. I know you've done some dumb things, but I love you, and the door is open. We're going to celebrate you. And that's what we are exploring today. It's a big one because I think every one of us can identify, certain elements of each aspect, whether it's the son themselves that takes off and knows, okay, I've messed up. I've got to go home. I've got to go home to my parents, or I've got to go home to my dad and say, I've really screwed up here. And there's a humbleness in it. There's a sense of defeat. There's a sense of I give up, which is, I guess, defeat. But there's a sense of a pride being dropped and recognize that I can't do it on my own. I need my dad. And that's certainly something that we are being encouraged to recognize. If you know that you're living a life that is not the ideal, it's leaving you messed up, go home. That's my simple message from this morning is go home, get yourself right before God. Recognize that Jesus has done so much for you. But that door is always open, that gate, if you like. The feast will be waiting for you. The blessings will still be waiting for you. If you are the person who has been doing things right, if you've been just plodding along is what I actually meant to say. I told you I'm a bit foggy today. Plodding along, just doing life as best as you can, trying to be honourable to God, trying to be respectful of relationships and how He wants you to do life, and yet you see somebody else waltz in and then all of a sudden the blessings are poured on them. It is my encouragement for you to look at this particular parable and remember that you've got a role to play too. Every one of us is to be celebrated, obviously. When we get home, we've got our own story, our own journey. I don't know about you guys, but I have heard so many people when they're giving their testimony say, oh, well, it's not a very exciting one because I was raised in a Christian home. And then they stop, and it's like every story matters. To God, when we come home, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the story's been, less dramatic or if it's been way too dramatic. He just loves us and He wants us home. And I think as we're getting closer to Easter, we've got that reminder that, Jesus didn't go through all the torture that He went through just for the sake of it. He went home, allowed the beatings to continue. He allowed for his torture to take place because He wanted us to be able to come home. He wanted us to experience that same embrace that we see in this prodigal son scenario, and we can experience it. And we have experienced it. Many of us have experienced time and time again that warm embrace of, I've got you. You're home. Don't worry about it. I understand where you've been. Love you anyway. Certainly something for us to be thinking about, guys. I don't have a whole lot to add other than we just need to remember not to compete. We need to remember that our own individual story it's an act of God. It's a beautiful, it's His story. It is His story to write, to read, for others to be able to be exposed to. And it doesn't matter if we are caught up in the messy stuff or we are kind of cruising along. He loves and values all of us, especially when we come home. He just wants us home. So let me just leave it there today, guys. I just want to just say, spend some time with him. He loves you. He wants to spend some time with you too. All right, I'm out of here for another Sunday. And I hope you guys have a beautiful week. And I'll see you back here next week. See you soon, guys.